Boxing truth here. Jermell Charlo just made a fake call out to Sadam Ali for a unification bout this year, as Charlo was asked out, just lost out in unification bouts on his side of the street. Don't know why those fights never materialized. Don't know why Charlo is not being pushed for unification, since it was he who won his world title about a year prior to Jarrett Hurd. So Jarrett Hurd's already making step ups. He handled Austin Trout, a much more experienced opponent compared to some of Jermell Charlo's past few opponents. Granted, I picked Erickson Lubin to beat this hype job, but referee Harvey Dock made a premature stoppage to rob us of a much better conclusion to that fight. Maybe we could have learned something had Lubin been given a chance to at least recover from the first knockdown of the fight. So Jermell seems like he's being protected for some strange reason, while Lara and Hurd are on the collision course for unification bout. Why couldn't Jermell call out Arizlandi Lara? Never made any strong indications of wanting to fight him. He did call out Jarrett Hurd in his post-fight interview, but it looks like Hurd and Lara is going to go down. That's the fight Lara is actually interested in. And Jarrett Hurd, he's up to the task, believes he can expose, and he's ready for Arizlandi Lara. So in the meantime, Jermell, he's going to be in a voluntary stage. He had an in-house fight, his last fight. Fought Hatley, who was a Don King fighter, as mandatories. Neither guy was, I would say, worthy of a mandatory shot, but Lubin, he was showing some promise, highlight reel knockouts, got caught cold. Still a lot to learn about Jermell Charlo, how good he is. But it's going to be a while before we see him in a more significant fights, unification type fights. A fight outside of the PBC would be nice, but none of these Heyman fighters usually go out of their realm. Very, very rarely does a PBC fighter fight someone outside of the PBC. Doesn't happen very often. The last year, Errol Spence was the exception. It seems like Heyman actually believes in Errol Spence, because if it was any other fighter, I'm not so sure he would have pulled the trigger on that matchup. But Jermell, he's making fake call-outs, knowing that this fight ain't gonna happen for a bunch of reasons. Network conflicts, not enough money to make this fight. Both guys are gonna want big percentages, 50-50 down the middle at least. And this is not even a huge fight. Even though it's in unification, Jermell, he's still fighting on undercards, not even making main event money, has yet to headline a card for himself. So how much really is he worth? How much does he really bring to the table? Sadam Ali, he just headlined a card with Miguel Cotto. He's the newly crowned WBO super welterweight champion. Right now has the most impressive win of the champions. That doesn't say that neither of the other champions could beat Sadam Ali. But right now, Ali, in his very brief run at 54, has a more impressive win over the other considered champions in the junior middleweight division. I mean, let's just be frank. Let's just be real about that. Doesn't mean none of these guys can't beat Ali. But right now, Ali is boxed out, since the other champions are with the PBC. And I mean, how's this fight gonna happen? What network? HBO does more viewers, so why would Goldberg want to fight on Showtime when they can have more people watch on HBO? Who's the A side? The A side and B side to every fight. What type of split? There's just too many issues when making this fight. Besides, Sadam Ali has mandatory obligations. Miguel Cotto won a vacant strap, so the mandatory is due. Ali has an option in Liam Smith. They're going to try to make that fight in America, of course. Put it on HBO. Ali will be back on HBO. And Jermell, he does have an option. It's not like he has no options, but this Ali fight ain't really gonna happen. So let's look at Jermell's rankings. I already can predict who he's gonna fight next. It's gonna be another in-house fight. He ain't gonna fight nobody outside the PBC. And let's see. I believe he already fought Vanis Martirosyan, so that's not gonna happen. Undesirable fight. I can already see who he's gonna fight in the rankings. He's gonna fight Julian Williams next in an in-house fight as a voluntary defense. It'll be an interesting storyline. Can Julian beat can he beat the other brother, since he got exposed and totally trashed by Jermell Charlo, who is Jermell's older brother, I believe, by a minute, and considered the better fighter. So this will be Julian's chance to see if he's worthy of being a champion. Honestly, I don't think Julian will ever be a world champion. I mean, the guy's just another hype job from Philadelphia. Can't even take jabs to the chin. Going life and death with faded gatekeepers like Ishe Smith. So we know how good Julian Williams is. He ain't that good. But can Jermell take him? Probably. Not very high on Julian Williams. But that's going to be Jermell's next fight, a voluntary defense, as he awaits the winner of Jarrett Hurd and Arizona Lara. But that's fine. It's a decent fight for Jermell. He's fulfilled his mandatory obligations. He's fighting his mandatories, so let Ali fight his mandatories, which is Liam Smith, which is not a bad fight. Decent fight for Ali. It's a fight Ali could win. Stay in the winning column. Defend his claim as champion, as Liam Smith is considered the mandatory for WBO. And of course, Frank Warren's ties to WBO are very strong. So he is most likely going to get that fight next for his fighter, Liam Smith. That's going to be pushed in that direction. Mandatory defense will be next. Frank Warren and Golden Boy, they can do business together, so it's not an impossible fight to make, and it's a mandatory situation anyways. For Jermell, I suspect he'll fight Julian Williams next. He won't get the Ali unification anytime soon, at least not next. But there's definitely a unification waiting in the wings for him, and that's the winner of Hurd Lara, which I believe will be Jarrett Hurd. And the Hurd Jermell Charlo fight will be more bigger than it is right now. If Hurd can win the fight, most likely he'll be the underdog, so he will have to pull off an upset in order to get this unification rolling with Jermell Charlo. But that's fine. I'm fine with that plan. We'll see how real Jermell is this year. I believe he'll fight a decent contender, most likely Julian Williams next, and then fight the winner of Hurd Lara. And Jermell Charlo, Jarrett Hurd's a really good fight. We'll find out who's real between the two of them sometime in 2018, but that's the plan. Ali, I don't know what he's going to do at this weight class. After Liam Smith, who the hell is he going to fight? Andrew? I don't know. He's kind of assed out. He's boxed out, just like Oscar Valdez is boxed out, just like Lomachenko was boxed out at featherweight. He's dealing with a bunch of Al Haymon fighters. And these guys have to figure out a way to make some of these fights, because this is the problem why these fights can't get made. These fights are not big enough. And I've lost hope on promoters just making fights just to the benefit of the sport or to benefit fans. There's always an agenda. That's why Kovalev Stevenson can't happen. Didn't happen because it's not a big enough fight. It's not Lewis Mike Tyson type level, or Mayweather Pacquiao, or a mandatory situation wasn't able to get materialized either. So that's the issue with boxing in 2018. You have 3 universes. You got ESPN, you got HBO, you got Showtime. Now here's the question: how the fuck do you make these fights? How do you make Lomachenko Mikey Garcia? How do you make Jermell Charlo Sadam Ali? How do you make Jermell Charlo, Canelo Alvarez? How do you make Jeff Horn, Keith Thurman? With all these network conflicts, Crawford, Spence. These fights are not what you consider pay-per-view level. So unless the money goes up for the amount of money that the fight can generate, are these fights ever going to get made? That's what the writers need to ask the promoters of every universe. How do you solve this issue to where we can see fights outside of we can see fights that are not always in-house fights? Be nice. It's in every division as well that it affects a lot of these fighters, like the featherweight division. I mean, I would like to see Valdez fight Leo Santa Cruz, but how can it happen if Valdez is fighting on ESPN and Santa Cruz fights once a year on Showtime? So boxing needs to resolve some of these problems, has to find a way to where the promoters can trade for fights like Bob Arum was mentioning in the past, because they got to find a way to solve this issue. So where we could see some of these fights. For instance, Stevenson fighting Bivol or Kovalev fighting Bitterbeef. Hopefully Bitterbeef's situation gets straightened out, but super middleweight as well. Can Zerto fight David Benavidez? Is that fight possible? Gotta find a way to resolve these issues and try to make some of these fights that where they're not on that pay-per-view level, but they're still significant fights that fans want to see. Gotta find a way, promoters, to make these fights happen for the fans. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.